Welcome to the Cashflow Ninja, the podcast sharing how to create income streams and manage, multiply, and protect your wealth in the new economy. Here is your host inside the dojo, MC Laubscher.
Hello, Cashflow Ninjas. MC Laubscher here, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Ninja. Thank you so much for joining me on episode 295 of the Cashflow Ninja, where we will be looking at how to create cash flow income streams in the exciting city of Birmingham, Alabama. I'm joined today by Maureen McCann from Spartan Invest. Maureen McCann joined Spartan Invest in April of 2014. As the VP of Sales and Marketing, Maureen brings with her a ton of experience in sales and marketing, and specifically in the turnkey marketplace. Having served as an investment property coach for years, Maureen is skilled at helping clients build turnkey cash flow portfolios for her clients. Maureen has helped hundreds of investors build the type of rental portfolios necessary to reach their short-term and long-term monthly passive income goals. Investing in turnkey real estate for long-term wealth generation is something Maureen understands intimately. Whether clients want to replace their current income with passive income, or clients are simply looking to supplement their retirement, Maureen can help design the right portfolio with the right end goal in mind. With her incredible work ethic and unquenchable thirst for knowledge, Maureen helps to provide a peace of mind experience investing in premium income generating properties. She spends time coaching her clients on the wealth building principles that will help her clients and their families protect their capital and mitigate the loss of their capital while investing in real estate. Please share your feedback and thoughts on today's interview. You can let me know your thoughts on Twitter by tweeting me at MC Laubscher or by email at info@cashflowninja.com. And please remember to join our mailing list by signing up at cashflowninja.com or texting Cashflow Ninja to 44222. I'm publishing weekly and daily videos on YouTube. You can check out all of my videos at youtube.com/Cashflow Ninja. Please subscribe to my channel to get updates when I post these videos. Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you are an accredited investor, you can also now participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com/life settlements. Blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies will not only disrupt money, but every industry on the planet. These new innovations and technologies will affect every area of our lives in the future. The cryptocurrency course teaches you everything you need to know about getting started and profiting with cryptocurrencies and includes expert training from the top crypto experts in the world. You'll learn how to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies, how to safely store your crypto, how to become a sound investor, even if you're just a beginner, and how to apply blockchain technology to your business. You can watch a free crypto masterclass and grab the crypto course at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. Are you having a hard time finding great investment properties? Norada Real Estate provides everything you need to invest in the best deals across the United States. Their simple, proven system will help you create real wealth and passive monthly cash flow. Get your free copy of the ultimate guide to passive real estate investing at noradarealestate.com/guide. Maureen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, MC. It is so nice to be back with you again.
Absolutely, and nice to connect again, and had a fantastic time meeting and spending some time with the entire Spartan Invest team in Birmingham. So great to be on and connect with you again. Maureen, can you please share a little bit about your background and journey for some of my listeners that are not familiar with you and or Spartan Invest?
Sure, I'd be happy to start. So I think that I probably will resonate with a lot of your listeners because I too once was I had a job. I had a job, and I was working for someone else. I was a W-2 wage earner for 15 years in the medical device pharmaceutical sales world. And guess what? As I got married, and then I had my first baby, and then I had my second, and added my third. So guess what? I'm adding new expenses to the household income. And what I found was that as I continued to add more expenses, daycare, classes, education, things like that, my income wasn't rising as fast as my expenses were. And I always felt like I was just trying to go from paycheck to paycheck and just trying to catch up. And I never did. And so I made the leap. I took that big, bold, beautiful leap, which I know a lot of your listeners are probably thinking about wanting to do, and have held back for a variety of reasons. But I made the leap from the W-2 world into owning business and owning rental properties for cash flow. And when I did that, my entire world changed. And I learned that I not only wanted to help my family change their thinking generationally, to go from working for someone else versus having their money work for them, to doing it more on a global scale, helping other people recognize that there is a better way, that you've got multiple bills siphoning on one income. Why not have multiple streams of income to pay all the multiple bills?
Yeah, and you guys are based out of Birmingham, Alabama. Very, very exciting stuff going on there too, with helping and serving investors across the world. So I'm excited to talk about Birmingham. But to touch on something you just mentioned, because you bring up such a good point about a common problem and challenge that a lot of my listeners might have, because they see the cost of goods and services and just life in general rise all around them. And while they're stuck basically with kind of a ceiling to try and live off the same kind of income, and maybe they get like a couple of percentage raises a year. Can you touch on just how the environment that we live in has changed, and where also the corporate environment and the environment that corporations have operated in over the last, I would say, century or so has definitely changed? Because I think to our prior discussion and talks that we've had, you make a very, very good point of how the central wine philosophy of corporations have changed, and that really, truly affects Main Street and everyone that's part of this ecosystem.
And I don't think that they recognize it, just like myself, I don't think many of us even recognize what was happening until you just start going, God, I can't really afford that. I want to do that. I want to take a family vacation. So where did that show up? Where did that come from? And we had to kind of go back a little bit and look at history. And I love Henry Ford. I'm going to start with him because the middle class really started with the manufacturing line, right? And what Henry did was he had this grand big vision, right, of giving everybody a car in America. And he started this assembly line, which guess what he needed? He needed labor. And so here were these individuals that came in, were working in the assembly line for him, starting to earn some wages and get some benefits. And that started improving their quality of life. Well, guess what? So what I loved about Henry Ford did from a corporation standpoint is that as the productivity of the company increased, then the wages increased for the line workers, the assembly workers. So guess what? The middle class was born because as a corporation became more productive, those profits were rolled down to wages, increased wages. And that happened for, don't have the exact timeline. I know it happened for a really long time, hence the reason it built up the middle class. And so what I learned something here recently was, and I've heard this thing over and over again, the middle class is shrinking, the middle class is shrinking. I said, well, okay, but I want to know the why, the why and the how. How is that happening? And so I read a report that basically showed that profits now from corporations are no longer trickling down to the increased wages. Wages have stayed stagnant for decades at this point. And so when you look at stagnated wages, but you've got this rise in inflation, things are costing more, then that's where that creeps into those families when they want to take a vacation, but they can't because they say they can't afford it. It's too expensive. And so really the middle class really is shrinking because the wages or the productivity of the company is no longer attached to increase wages. There's a separation, and the cash flow and the profitability is staying up in the executive suite, the C-suites. It's not rolling down. So there is this separation. It is happening. That is the why and the how. And the calls that I get, MC, are from people that are feeling it, right? Your millennials, your Gen Xers, your Gen Yers, your baby boomers. These are people that, their wages or, when they get their yearly review and it's time to get their increase in pay, and I remember when I was in pharmaceuticals 10 years ago, I was getting a 1.5%, increase in my base pay. But inflation is a lot higher than 1.5% back then. And don't believe what the government tells you, because they'll tell you that inflation is 3 to 4%. When quite honestly, all of us know that it's a lot higher. And in the early 70s, they removed food and gas from the equation to calculate inflation. So if you want to actually know what inflation is, put food and gas back in the calculation, because guess what? We use those things every single day. You can't exclude them. When you add them back in, the inflation rate is a lot higher, and your 1.5 to 2% raise each year is not going to help you build wealth. It's just helping you go broke slowly.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points. And one of the things is inflation, the silent tax, right? And this really eats out the heart of any middle class in any country. I'm just thinking, I'm originally from South Africa, and then just visiting there this year, you see it there as well, because the inflation has been so rampant in that country. It truly, truly eats out the heart of that middle class and affects the poor, because the wealthy have assets which rise with inflation. The wealthy know how to combat inflation and position assets. So when, for instance, rents go up, when you own the real estate or houses and so forth, you get to participate in that rise and that spike, right? And to your point, it's not really very transparent. The way that they calculate it now. I've had John Williams from Shadow Stats on the show too, that was just saying that, it's more like 9% almost. If you calculated it the way that they did previously, because you had mentioned that, a lot of things are excluded, and they also use the replacement kind of technique, right? Where they used to, when you used to order a filet mignon, and now all of a sudden that's too expensive, they throw in a skirt steak in the bundle, basically, to calculate it, and then tell you, hey, there's no inflation. But it's like, hey, I used to eat filet mignon. Now I'm paying the same for skirt steak, and you're telling me nothing's changed. Mm-hmm. So it really, really put folks in a bind. And I think you mentioned a couple of demographic groups there. One that I find extremely intriguing is the millennials, because they've not only seen their parents suffer financially. I mean, if you think about what they've seen in their lifetime, from 9/11 to the last financial crisis, a lot of them probably saw their parents lose most of all of their money. Maybe their parents had homes that were foreclosed on. They grew up in a home that were foreclosed on. And then they also see that this whole approach of accumulation, of working for a company and saving for 30 to 40 years, and then hoping that the money's going to be there and then turn it income, isn't something that they're willing to take a risk on. So they're also looking at figuring out, how can I create income streams right now, immediately, rather than saving a bunch of money and then try to convert it into income.
Yeah, so I think that's happening, definitely with the millennials, and you make a really good point as far as what they've seen historically. I don't think that deviates from, the Gen Xers, the Gen Yers, or even the baby boomers, because the bottom line is that people need more cash flow. The biggest fear is that people, you think about death and divorce, those are not even like the two biggest fears. The number one fear of most retirees is outliving their money. Right. And I'm not even like a retiree, but I'm already thinking about that too. Because I live in an expensive part of the country. I have 3 kids. I've got to get through college, probably weddings, braces, all kinds of stuff I've got to afford for them. And so plus save for my retirement. And so when you look at, one income stream, I did a slide here recently at a talk that I was giving at the Closing Table Mastermind. in San Francisco. And one of the slides I had was I just had, a little bubble, one income. And then I had all of the little lines coming from that income, your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, your education, your daycare fees, if you have to pay alimony or child support or braces, like these are your utilities, all these monthly bills are being siphoned from one income. And you need to have, and people are feeling it, because the cost of things are going up, yet the wages aren't moving commensurate with the cost of inflation. And so people are having those moments, millennials, Gen Xers, Gen Yers, baby boomers going, okay, wait a minute. What I was doing before, is not working. For millennials, what I saw my parents do is not working. And so What am I going to do differently today? And they're seeking these alternative investments. And hence, Warren Buffett, thank you, Warren. I love you very much. He mentioned in February of 2010 that he was quoted as saying, a great strategy would be to buy as many single family homes as you could, load up on them and hold on to them. And the question was, why? Why would he say that? Right? And so it goes about what you mentioned is hedging your bets against inflation. It's controlling the real estate, controlling the rent, controlling the cash flow that comes to you through ownership of that asset.
Yeah, you make such a lot of good points too. I mean, control is absolutely key, and then the game has changed. Folks, it's huge rule changes in the game and how the game of money is to be played. And the first thing that you have to realize is that the rules have changed, because I don't think a lot of folks they know that they're struggling, or they look at challenges but they don't know it yet. And when you do know that the rules are and have changed, you got to figure out, how do I play by these new set of rules? And then how do I partner and team up with folks to help me position myself just as like any other athlete, for using NFL player, for example, would do with strength and conditioning and fitness coaches and position coaches and so forth. Now, one thing that I love about what you do, Maureen, and what Spartan Invest does as well is I love the philosophical approach that you guys have to your business, because it's very much focused on solving problems for people and or creating outcomes, which is the only two reasons why businesses should exist. Can you share a little bit more about just how you guys work with folks when they reach out to you, and then also the value that you guys provide in this niche that you are in?
Yeah, I'd love to. And thank you for recognizing that difference with Spartan Invest and how we approach business. I'm going to kind of just very briefly go back just a little bit so your listeners can understand my mindset, my leadership style, and why the sales side is run the way that it is run. And I'm going to take people back to 2008, right? It was a pivotal year for many, many investors. And that's when I had my wake up, my pivotal moment, which was at that point, I was still W-2. I was still maxing out my 401k. I was thinking that was the end all be all. It was great because guess what? My fidelity statements quarterly showed I was in the black. And I was like, wow, this is great. It just keeps going up. And then 2008 happened, and then it doesn't, right? And then your quarterly statements are red, and then the next quarter it's red, and it's red, and it's red, and then you're hemorrhaging and you're panicking. And I was, at that point in my late 30s, I couldn't imagine what I would have felt like if I was almost a retiree or already retired. And I watched basically my money vaporize overnight. And I did not want to be in that position, nor did I want my kids or anyone else to ever be in that position where you saved decades, you're saving money for decades, and then in a snap, gone, vanishes. I don't want anyone to have that feeling. I want people to feel abundant and wealthy and contributing back to the economy. And so our approach has always been when someone calls, and I've been doing this now for 10 years, I've had thousands of calls, I've talked to thousands of investors, and opening question every single time. I don't talk about a house. I don't talk about cash flow. I don't talk about here's where you need to buy. Here's why you need to buy with us, the team in Birmingham. Here's why you have to buy in Birmingham. I ask them questions. Why do you want to do this? What is driving you? Are you trying to supplement retirement? Are you trying to pay for college for kids? Are you trying to quit your job and replace your active income with passive income? Tell me your why, because guess what? This is a long-term partnership, relationship, business relationship. And I want to know what I'm trying to achieve for you, with you.
You're listening to Maureen McCann on the Cashflow Ninja podcast. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
MC Laubscher is the host of the top-rated business and investing podcast, Cashflow Ninja, and also the president of Producers Wealth. Producers Wealth assists people in creating, protecting, and perpetually multiplying wealth in any economy through creating processes that help them increase their production, provide them with liquidity, passive income generators, and opportunities for enormous growth. Learn more about their time-tested and proven systems at yourownbankingsystem.com.
You're listening to Maureen McCann on the Cashflow Ninja podcast, and now back to our interview. And that's so true, again, that beginning with the end in mind, right? What the vision is, because that's the most important thing, is to start right there, because this is how you create a plan and a blueprint and a roadmap to get you to that vision. So what's it? Is it Alice in Wonderland that said, if you don't know where you're going, any road will do? So, or any road will get you there, right? So, so true. And you guys are positioned in Birmingham, which I have to say, I had a blast down there. It's a new, vibrant city. There's so much going on, and I was driving around with you, and you showed me around a little bit, and all of the projects that was going on there, and downtown and so forth. For listeners that might not be familiar with Birmingham, what is going on there? What are some of the reasons why this has become a very, very desired place for investors and businesses?
Oh my gosh, great question. And I, like many of your listeners, probably when you say Birmingham, Alabama, like when my business partner 5 years ago said that to me and invited me to come check out his operation in Birmingham, I remember getting on a flight from San Diego, flying out to Birmingham, and my mindset, MC, was like, oh God, what is in Birmingham, Alabama? Right? And I had this preconceived notion, which I think many, many people do. And you know what, where it comes from, how it got there, you know what, probably leave it up to history. But let's just say I have seen this city. It is really, truly the American revival story. It has transformed, and for two main reasons. Actually, no, three main reasons. Number one, when you have local, state, government officials that are focused on revitalizing, bringing back a city, then they are really focused on making strategic business offerings to companies, because guess what? You need jobs. When you have jobs, I mean, I'm a simple girl from Jersey, simple math, simple problems, simple way to think. If you have jobs, you have people that have money. If they have money, they put money back in the local economy. If they have enough money, they can buy a property. If they don't have enough money, then they're going to rent. Okay, It's pretty simple. So what Birmingham needed was jobs being created there. And so if I were ever a government official of a city that needed to be revitalized, I would, number one, go out and do what the local government state officials did. They went overseas. They were looking for international businesses that wanted to have a U.S. foothold and create and establish their business inside the United States. So guess what? You give them a great incentive package from a business standpoint to come over and move their operations here. And if you are the owner of Toyota Mazda and you're going to save 30% on operational costs by moving your business to Birmingham, Alabama, you as a business person are going to do that. So They were really smart. So if you look up foreign investment capital, if you just kind of Google what states have the highest foreign investment capital, you will find that Alabama, it's debatable. Some say it's number one, some say it's 2 or 3. I just say it's in the top 3. So foreign investment capital, basically the guys and gals went overseas, found companies that wanted to invest in the United States, and they chose Alabama. So number one, they created a ton of jobs, mostly through auto manufacturing, the secondary auto supply business. Case in point, 8 million cars were manufactured and shipped out of Alabama in 2017. Okay.
Wow.
It's not all blue collar though. There's a lot of white collar jobs there as well, in tech and banking and finance, healthcare, biotech. But you asked for the second reason for why Birmingham is really this hot investment market. So now you've got the jobs, you've got the foreign investment capital. But guess what? You kind of had sites of blight everywhere, and it needed to be revitalized and dressed up, and it needed a facelift. And so the Alabama State Historical Commission in 2012 initiated a new program, and it offered a refundable tax credit
for
anyone. Do you know what that is? You know what that is. Of course you do.
Yeah.
Maybe you should explain that to your listeners.
No, you can go ahead.
All right. So the refundable tax credit basically is this. If you have a residential property or commercial property in the historic district of the state, you then can qualify for up to $50,000 in a tax credit if you renovate that property. Same thing, if you renovate a commercial building in the historic part of the city, you can get a refundable tax credit of up to $5 million. That kind of sounded like, what was his name from?
Dr. Evil?
Thank you, yeah.
That's right.
$5 million. So what has happened is, and people, for your listeners, a tax credit is a dollar for dollar reduction on your tax liability. It's not a deduction, a percentage.
Yeah.
So if I had $100,000, if my tax bill for the year was $100,000 and I renovated a property and I earned that $50,000 tax credit, I basically just took my $100,000 tax bill and I reduced it to half. So you want to see and that was that tax credit was good from 2012 to 2017. It worked so well, MC, that they've extended it to 2022. So if you were to come in and you saw a little bit of it, there are cranes everywhere. There are old storefronts that are being refurbished into laudable restaurants, great little shops, brand name stores like Warby Parker. There is so much construction that has either already been completed. These are $40, $50 million projects on most street corners in the downtown area. Luxury apartment living. I know it sounds crazy for Birmingham, Alabama, but you can get, and it's very attractive to millennials. They like the 2-bedroom, 2-bath, brand new building, all new amenities, the rooftop bar, the outdoor pool, walk outside your front door, walk to Brick and Tin or to another really cool little hot spot of the Ellington Hotel, for $2,000 a month. Trying to do that in another city with just starting out, you're not going to be living in a nice 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square foot place downtown. Nowhere.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I was very impressed with that part of it too. And as you mentioned, there's a ton of cranes, but yeah, that definitely revitalized a lot of the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in summary, I would say if you had to rebuild a city, it would be number one, go find foreign investment capital that want to relocate their operations here, that want to create new jobs. I mean, just for example, Toyota Mazda is relocating to Alabama, and they are bringing over 4,000 new jobs starting now to 2021. I mean, that really changes the local economy. That really changes the influx of capital into the local economy. That's what revitalizes and rebuilds a city. And then two is that if you want your city to look pretty, give a tax credit, give a refundable tax credit for anyone that's going to come in and revitalize, a commercial building or a residential building. And I am telling you, when you walk down the streets, it's new, it's clean, it's pretty, it's got a great vibe. You've got people walking their dogs, you've got people riding their bikes. It's a thriving, growing, vibrant, beautiful city.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed. And the other thing, I think Mercedes-Benz has got a location there as well, right? And what I do enjoy traveling different places is driving with Uber drivers. I actually do learn a lot from them about the city. And those folks are very, very excited about what's going on in the city and keeping busy. So their business has grown a lot. So there's definitely a lot of things going on there. So it was really cool to see.
I will give you, if I could paint a visual picture, because I know this is all audio, but if I could paint a visual picture for your listeners, I would say this. So there's and everything's verifiable, right? Trust but verify. So
Right.
don't believe none of what I say, go verify everything that I say. And I would say for those listeners that really want to kind of get a good glimpse and good look into Birmingham, subscribe to the Birmingham Business Journal. And what you will find, there's a section in the Business Journal that's called Crane Watch. And essentially it's an interactive map with pins. And you can basically click on the pin and it will tell you the name of the developer, how much capital they're investing, what the building is going to be purposed or repurposed for. And one day I was trying to add up the dollar amount of how much capital was being invested. And what I found was I stopped counting because there was 42 projects, 42 pins that were on this map. And I was clicking in each pin. It was I got to a place that was over 4 billion. I was like, what's the point? It's billions of dollars that are being invested. And you can see it with your own eyes when you're driving down the streets.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for listeners that are interested in turnkey and investing in turnkey properties, and by the way, I met with the entire Spartan Invest team there. Fantastic operations and a great, strong leadership team. So I was super, super impressed. When folks are looking to invest into turnkey, there are some mistakes and pitfalls that the average investor or person will make when they start out for it. What are some of the things that you can advise them on to learn, I guess, from other mistakes that previous people have made when pursuing this investment class?
Number one would be, let me clearly define what turnkey is, because some investors, they get, turnkey truly is the person that is selling you the property is the one that purchased it, renovated it, placed a tenant in it, and then is managing it for you. And we have a vested interest in the long-term performance of that property. Whereas some other people are more brokers, but they present themselves as turnkey, which is fine. You just need to know what you're dealing with. Typically those structures, they are the affiliates. They basically just find the buyer and they find the seller, put them together, collect a fee, and their interest is out at the closing table. Whereas a true turnkey operator, their interest continues long after the property is closed, because we want to make sure that investor is getting a consistent year-over-year return, because we're tied into its success financially as well. So we want our investors to be successful. So I would say number one is know what turnkey company that you're dealing with, if they're truly turnkey. Two, don't get sucked in by the high return, right? People will go, oh my gosh, Maureen, I saw this. I'm talking to this other company and they're giving me a 20% return on my money. You're only giving me 14%. I'm going to go with them. And then I go, whoa, okay, wait a minute. What's the price point of the property? Oh, it's $50,000. Okay, that's okay. Do you know what renovations are being done on the property? Oh, they just put some paint and some carpet in. And I'm like, okay. So a big pitfall really is to be aware of, one, what is your risk tolerance? Do you like those lower end price properties with the high cap rates? Because you're going to be dealing in different types of neighborhoods with a higher risk profile. If you're okay with that, awesome. Go for it all day long. There's not too many people on the high end that are, clamoring in Birmingham to rent $2,000 properties in the suburbs for our working class folks. We like to play in that space between, the $700 and the $1,300 a month range. Now you're dealing more B-class neighborhoods, lower risk profile. We're looking for more consistent year-over-year returns for our investors. So pitfalls would be, don't get lured in by the high rate of return and just make that your only decision. Look at the other factors as far as what quality of renovation. Is there a new roof, new HVAC, new water heater? Is there any carpet? What's the maintenance ratio? That's a good question that your investor should really ask, is what the maintenance ratio is, because you don't want to buy a property that just has, just paint and carpet and no new roof, no HVAC, no new water heater. Those bills are coming. They're probably coming sooner than you would like. So, when you're making an investment decision, number one, pick the right team who has the long-term performance of your property as their best interest too. And then two, look at a property that is highly renovated, not just some cheap renovation. Keep it in a safe market, depending on your risk tolerance. And then I'd say probably the key thing in all of this, MC, is the right team. You can buy a property anywhere, anytime, with various cap rates that look awesome to just decent. But it's all about just picking the right team, the right property, with a highly renovated property, is what I would say.
Absolutely. Still, business is all about people, right? And the secret sauce to that is the team that you have, and especially the property management. And you make a lot of good points. I would also say, and this should be in any part of your life, but particularly with investments too, when you hear something like you were just mentioning, hey, somebody's giving you 20% returns or, on this particular property, there should be questions asked why, and keep asking why, and you'll get to the answers, because, there's a reason for everything. And then, as you mentioned, they should see if that's in their particular risk tolerance level or something that they feel that they can take on. But a lot of good points. Maureen, where can my listeners learn more about you, stay in touch of all the projects you're involved with, and where can they learn more about Spartan Invest and learn about all of the offerings that you guys have and the value that you guys provide for investors?
Like every good company, we've got a website, so I would love for you to come and check us out at www.spartaninvest.com, and you will be tied directly to me, so just come on in, check us out. We have some properties that are listed there. They're just case studies. You can take a look at the neighborhoods, you can look at the returns, you can look at the cash flow, which is, guess what? That's the most important thing in all of this. There's a page where you can see our leadership team and our bios, so you can get a little introduction to who we are, what we do, and the value that we provide is just really helping investors create more cash flow for themselves so that they're living more comfortable lives, and being able to do the things that they want to do versus what they have to do.
Great. And you guys do tours throughout the year as well on specific dates, right?
Every month there is a tour. And so we have those booked out for a year in advance. And it's basically, we give you a tour of the city. You get to meet my team. You get to walk through finished properties. We tour the neighborhoods. Then we find a really cool hotspot restaurant in Birmingham and sit down. The investors can sit down with my entire team and they can ask any question to any department and find out who we are and what we do.
Would highly recommend it. It's definitely worth checking out, and a trip there, because it was a lot of fun and a lot of exciting stuff happening down there. Maureen, thank you so much for coming on the show and, again, providing so much value for my listeners. And it's been a blast having you on again.
Always fun hanging out with you, MC. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me again on the Cashflow Ninja, and thank you for all of your support. You rock. If you like what you hear and appreciate what we're trying to build here at the Cashflow Ninja, please subscribe, rate, and review our show on iTunes, and share our show with family, friends, and your network. If you're not a subscriber to the Cashflow Ninja Gosh Good newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter at cashflowninja.com or text Cashflow Ninja to 44222. Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you're an accredited investor, you now can also participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com/life settlements. Blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies will not only disrupt money, but every industry on the planet. These new innovations and technologies will affect every area of our lives in the future. The cryptocurrency course teaches you everything you need to know about getting started and profiting with cryptocurrencies, and also includes expert training from the top crypto experts in the world. You will learn about how to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies, how to safely store your crypto, how to become a sound investor, even if you're just a beginner, and how to apply blockchain technology to your business. You can watch a free crypto masterclass and grab the crypto course at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. Are you having a hard time finding great investment properties? Norada Real Estate provides everything you need to invest in the best deals across the United States. Their simple, proven system will help you create real wealth and passive monthly cash flow. Get your free copy of the ultimate guide to passive real estate investing at noradarealestate.com/guide. That's our show for today, everyone. Until next time, live a life of passion and purpose on your terms. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.